what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode for our amazing podcast called The Stone Disclosure. So today we're going to be talking about culture appropriation, racial stereotypes that, are put out into the environment and the world. And today we're here with...
Your boy Trey, as usual.
And Jamal.
And of course, your girl Trista. So, I just want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on culture appropriation?
Jamal, you want to take this one, or?
Just you answer.
So to me, I feel like today, in our, generation, people are more aware of, everyone's culture and how we all, live and stuff like that. But then I also feel like there's people that take culture appropriation too seriously, or they just don't know what culture appropriation is. Does anyone want to add to that?
Well, for me, I feel like cultural appropriation kind of has been misconstrued, kind of the way feminism has been misconstrued in a sense, where I think people are starting to take things a little too seriously, like you were saying.
Yeah.
There was the whole situation where the Kardashians were wearing braids, and everyone's like, oh, they're culturally appropriating black people because they're wearing braids, but other people in European cultures were wearing braids before they did. You know what I mean? So I think kind of we're in a time now where people are looking to kind of have a cause, so they take this and they kind of run with it. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point with the whole culture appropriation where we take it too far. I think we could look at what other cultures do and we want to add elements of it, for instance braids or a certain type of food that we want to eat. And I don't feel like one person should be discouraged from something just because they're not of that culture. But sometimes it could get offensive when it comes to a certain religion or something like that.
Just to add to what both Jamal and Trevon said, I just want to say, as you guys said, nothing is wrong with embracing a different culture because, again, we're from Toronto. Toronto's very diverse. We have a bunch of cultures, a bunch of religions, all that. So nothing is wrong with, doing your hair, in a hairstyle because at the end of the day, they are braids. It's just you need to, I won't say, be educated on it. I wouldn't change names of stuff. For example, with the Kardashian thing, they called it, I believe it was boxer braids, which they aren't boxer braids, they're cornrows. And then there's a history behind cornrows, if, African American history where slaves would hide food in there so they could eat and just different things like that. So, yeah.
So you're putting it in a sense of if you are taking on something from a different culture, don't change its origin story. Just kind of
exactly
keep it how it is.
Yeah.
All right, no, I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I know we were talking the other day about, I think you had seen something on TikTok with makeup or something like that. You want to tell us that story?
Okay, so actually my friend sent me a video of someone that was, from the Asian heritage, and they were talking about how wearing eyeliner is disrespectful to their culture, which, I don't see eyeliner as being disrespectful. If anyone should be saying anything, it should be the Egyptians, because they were known for wearing eyeliner to separate themselves from the rich and the poor. So I don't know, I don't see makeup as a culture. I see it as something that everyone does every single day. And if it wasn't a problem last year, why is it a problem now? Jamal, do you have anything to say?
I'm not too familiar with the entire makeup scene.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that when it comes to something like that, I guess you have to trace down where it's from, and you look at something like eyeliner and you're like, okay, this is not from here, it's actually from here.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be this type of outrage, but at the end of the day, I don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
But I know that certain people will be offended by certain things that you will say. But I mean, I feel like everyone should be free to wear whatever type of makeup they want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I take it into a different context as well, to where something being offensive is strictly based on an opinion. Right? I mean, you can come across the exact same situation, but due to my background and your background, I find it offensive, you don't, or vice versa. So I think what we've gotten into now is this realm where we're so afraid to offend people that we
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like we just like attach ourselves to it. So it's like, oh, I don't want to go against this opinion or this thought process because people are going to be offended by it. But people are going to be offended regardless either way. Now, where I say this really comes into retrospect is like things like fashion becomes a big thing. Like people are like, oh, well, you can't wear this style because this culture does it. You can't wear this color because these people do it, and you're culturally appropriating. But no one seems to have that discussion when it comes to like food. Am I wrong? No one's like, oh, like you're culturally appropriating because you like oxtail. Whereas like there's a history behind oxtail. So like why is that? Why is it that we latch onto certain things and not other things?
I don't really know what to say about that one because like it's food. But then when you look at fashion, fashion means something. And I'm not saying food doesn't mean
I was about to
something.
say, oh, food means a
Because
lot.
like jerk chicken, like we know history of jerk chicken, like they used to smoke their food on the ground. But like I'm saying, with fashion, for example, saris, what people of the Indian heritage wear for I believe weddings and like special events or whatever, that means something. If I was just to go outside and wear a sari, I'll probably get stares at me like, what's this girl doing? Like, where is she going? So I kind of understand like when it comes to fashion and how it should be taken a little bit more seriously. And yeah, and Jamal, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, to add to that, I mean, if you're not a part of a certain culture, something like really deeply embedded in a culture, and you use that just for a fashion sense,
Yeah,
I could
fashion
see how
statement.
that could be a little offensive to them.
Yeah.
Not meaning that it just shouldn't be done, but I could see how the person who's from said culture could take offense. Like, for instance, if you wear a cross on your as a chain, but you are not Christian at all,
Mhm.
I could see how some people all that are Christian could find that actually really offensive. Like, I personally would not find that offensive, but I can see how other Christians could find that
I feel
offensive.
like they would only find that offensive because, like, with rosaries, for example, that's not a necklace. Like, if you were to wear that on your neck, like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we let's jump it back into the like Egyptian culture, like the Ankh. You guys have seen it. It's like the cross and it has the loop on the top.
Mhm.
That is a religious symbol for the Egyptians. They have their own like religion that like nobody really knows about. Like they believe in like Amun Ra and they have their own gods that they follow. But like no one makes a stink when somebody wears an Ankh because it means like prosperity and good luck. So it's like they don't necessarily know the history behind it, but they kind of understand what it represents. So like why is that not beaten to shreds at this point? Because people have been doing that for years.
I don't know what to say about that one because, like, if you are of that religion and you haven't said anything, then no one's gonna think it matters. It's kind of like with a child. If you let a child do something over and over again, they're gonna think it's okay, you know. And if you don't tell them not to do it, then they're obviously not gonna know. So it is their fault for not fully educating themselves on it, and it is also the religion's fault, or the people that follow that religion that haven't spoken out about it.
Well, you also have to look at there's over 2 billion Catholics or Christians on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And basically Christians have the one of the largest voices just because they have 2 billion people. So if some of them, even if a small percentage of them find something offensive as in the cross, it's going to reach it's going to have a longer and louder reach than a smaller religion
Yeah.
thinking that something's offensive.
All right, no, I get that. And then I don't know. For me, it's like we gotta look into it as well as to like what is considered a cultural thing. You know what I mean? Like we really have to like take that into consideration. Like
Mm-hmm.
braids, yes, I get it. There was a reason that black people had braids. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And now like you're not smuggling food in your braids now. I'm pretty sure. But like now it's more
You
like a
never know.
protective style. Well,
I'm
you're just
joking.
nasty. And I ain't even going there. But it takes on like a different meaning now.
Yeah.
But at the same time too, that was a time frame where black and white people were very segregated.
Mm-hmm.
If you look into like the European culture, like Viking times, they had braids then too. Like they
Yeah,
wore
but
them
it was
too.
just like the different styles of braids. Because you have like your Dutch braids and your French braids and your cornrows and your.
Style makes a difference then.
There's different significance
Okay.
to it. Yes, because I don't know why Vikings, had braids, but obviously since I'm black, we use braids to protect our hair, especially during winter. Because, But yeah.
Yeah, you gotta keep it. You gotta keep it locked up.
Exactly. All
I
right.
just, I just, I find
So,
it interesting. I kind of feel like it becomes a squeaky wheel gets the grease type of scenario because, like, if no one complained about something, then is it really a problem? And it depends on who complains about it too.
again,
Like
it's
what
an
Jay was saying with the
opinion.
cross, right? If you had enough Christian and Catholic people being like, "No, you can't wear a cross unless you like celebrate a religion," then that I guess makes it offensive because a lot more people said. But if there's more
Yeah.
Christian people than say like Rastafarians, right? And they're kind of arguing over the same thing. Then who really wins in that situation? Like, is it really cultural appropriation
I
at that point?
mean, at that point, it's just majority.
And is it not like more appropriation if it's being exploited for like some type of monetary gain? Because if I'm just wearing braids because I like how they look, I'm not appropriating a culture.
No,
I
I
just
see
like
that
the
as
look.
embracing a culture.
Yeah.
But it's just like when you disrespect it and you kind of say, oh, yeah, I started this. This is me doing it, or like me changing the name, because then you're changing the significance of why it was a thing.
Mhm.
You get what I mean?
But if you change the style slightly,
Then that's
does it
different,
still have the
because
same weight?
at that point, that's just a trend, and it's other people's decision to hop on that trend or not.
You seem very well versed in this. I like this. It's, I don't know. I find like all of this kind of encompasses in a very interesting way because then it also falls into like racial stereotypes as well when you really like break it down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What do you think? Like, what would you consider a racial stereotype? Like, what does that definition mean to you?
No.
When you generalize an entire population of one race based on when you generalize one entire race. So, for an example, all black people eat this. All black people do this. You're not black if you don't do this. You're not white if you don't do this. All white people have this. It's the white people that have this. Black people act like this. Those to me are racial stereotypes. You take a person that you know nothing about and you're just generalizing them just because of their race,
Yeah.
which is very factually wrong.
One thing I could say about that, especially as a black female growing up in my generation, is that I've been told that I'm loud, that I'm ghetto, that I'm ratchet, that I do too much, that I dress a certain way. But it's like you're judging me off of things that you see on social media. And what is posted on social media is people trying to get a reaction out of people. It's not how well, it could be how someone really is, but just because you see one girl yelling and doing a bunch of crazy stuff doesn't mean that every single girl of that race does the same thing.
Yeah, I was honestly just about to touch on that because I'm like, there are some people out there who are ratchet. There are some people out there who act ghetto. But that's not
everybody.
with everybody. Like me personally, like I'm very good at communication. I'm very good at talking to people. I use big words. I'm just educated. That's just how I grew up.
Exactly.
If you didn't see what I look like, a lot of people assume like I'm a white
Same.
guy.
Especially with my voice. Like,
They see you and they're like, oh, you're I'm like, yeah, I'm tall. Yeah, thank you. Like, I know, great. But it's like, I don't understand why stereotypes don't work in the opposite way because we're looking at it and a lot of them are just based on like the negative things. Like, yes, back in the day, maybe a lot of people in the hood were ratchet, but a lot of people, more people now aren't. More black people now are not ratchet. We're not ghetto. Most girls aren't walking around with like the 25-inch nails anymore. Like, they're a lot more. I don't know the best word to say, but they're not doing that anymore, right?
Yeah.
So why do we continue with that stereotype?
Well, there are a lot more, I'd say, classy, just like
That's the word.
classy, just classy people. And I don't mean like you have to just be a rich bougie person. You just have to be a presentable person, you know?
someone that carries
And
themselves.
there are more of those. But the problem is that when you look at what's on social media and you look at the fights in this McDonald's and the arguments here and you look at what's being posted and then you look at how the big celebrities who represent a certain race like Cardi B and so and so and so and so all have these long nails, they're all yelling. Then you start to make stereotypes and generalizations like, oh, this race is this, oh, this race is that. Even though it's factually wrong, you have a small group of people with the biggest outreach to social media, generalizing the entire thing for people.
One way to just sum up what you just said is that the negativity overrules the positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some responsibility on our end for that. Now,
Yes.
like a lot of people are gonna probably be upset by this. I really don't care. At the end of the day, we're idolizing those people. We're idolizing Cardi, and she's making all this money off of perpetuating this image that really has been forced
Yeah, like she
upon us.
feeds into it.
Right? And we may not agree with her. We may not be like, oh, well, no, I wouldn't wear my nails like her. No, I wouldn't be a stripper, da 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 da. But then you're listening to her music and you're hyping her up. So, like, she's just going to keep doing it. It's the same with Nicki. I'm not even going to pick on, like, the female rapper, like, female artists. Like, male artists do it too. Like, how many times do you see these guys going out there and they're buying cars they can't afford? They're spending, like, $15,000 on chains. Mm-hmm. And you know what I mean? Like, guys are walking up like, oh, I snatched your chain. Like, we're doing it to ourselves in a way, and we're not really taking it in, and then we get offended when people are looking at us that way.
So what are your thoughts about those people that aren't necessarily stereotyped as that do that stuff?
What do you mean?
So, like, let's just say that you see like, you know how, like, black people are seen to be loud, you know, doing too much, being extra. What if you saw someone that was another race that was doing the exact same thing that people stereotype black people as?
Well, they should be treated the same way. They should be looked at the same way. But let's be honest, they're not.
So that's my point.
Right?
Like, anyone could act a certain way. It doesn't matter about your race. It doesn't matter about where you come from, because I could be from the ghetto and then become a millionaire, like, I don't know, like a few years later. Like, you never know. So, Jamal, do you have anything to say about that either?
What I have to say about that is the people in the entertainment industry, most of them are like entertainers. So like the Cardi B's, the rappers, all of those guys, they're entertainers, right? So people look at what the dumb stuff they do as entertainment, because the dumber the thing you do, the more entertaining it is to society. So those people will have the biggest outreach, and that's how we'll be looked at. But it's not like how your average person will act. That's what I'm trying to say.
I feel that us as the people who are stereotyped that way have a bigger responsibility than everybody else. Now, you can have, say, like a black woman and a white woman, and they're acting the exact same. The white women are just going to look at it and be like, oh, she's having fun. The black girl, they're going to be like, oh, that's how they are. You know what I mean? It's the difference between how people would look at Cardi B and how people would look at, like, Iggy Azalea. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, she's kind of like, they don't even really care if she does it. They don't give a shit. Like, it doesn't really bother them. But when Cardi does it, and we're hyping Cardi, now everybody's just going to assume, well, that's how you guys are, because that's your representative. Yeah. Right? Whereas, like, someone like Beyonce, she's doing music too, but she's doing it in a whole different way, where she's not out there looking trashy. She's not out there kind of appropriating the stereotypes. Right? So it's like, it sucks, but at the end of the day, we have to kind of take the brunt of it to say, well, this is how they're stereotyping us. They're not stereotyping white people as ghetto. They're not stereotyping, you know, the white girl who's doing the exact same stuff the same way they are for the black girl. So the black girl really has to, and as unfair as it is, kind of has to change her game a little bit, because if you're going to feed into it and live into it, like, they're just going to keep hitting you with it. You know what I mean? And
it's funny, because I was having a conversation with one of my friends. We always talk about these stuff, but, like, she was just saying how when she's at school, she feels like she can't act a certain way because she doesn't want to feed into the stereotypes that society gives us. And I was just like, you know what, that's so true, especially, like, with me. I'm a very chill person. Like, I don't have a big reaction to things. I kind of just, like, brush it off and just, you know, move on with my life. But there's some people that can't do that, and that, you know, they need to express their emotions. And it's sad because you can't express your emotions because you don't want to feed into a stereotype, which most people do not like. And I'm not saying, like, oh, yeah, they're trying to be a people pleaser, or my friend is trying to be a people pleaser, because that's not it. It's just she doesn't want to be seen for something that she's not, which is pretty sad.
Well, when it comes to stereotypes, I feel like you as an individual could always outperform whatever stereotype you're given. So and then you could also underperform and just meet the stereotype itself. So, like, if a random like black guy or black girl walks into a store and the black guy is low riding, baggy pants, hoodie on, I'm pretty sure the shop owner will think differently of him. They might think that he might steal. He might not, but the shop owner's instinct will be, okay, this guy is low riding. He might be trouble to my store.
Yeah.
And then you, like, I feel like if you were to just look the part and just not low ride, not do any of this stuff, or for instance, you know, a group of high schoolers walk into a store and they're all yelling and shouting and stuff like that, I feel like they would be definitely treated differently, even though they could be great customers.
Yeah.
That first instance that they've had with with the stranger fits them into the stereotype.
But it's sad because why do you need to change yourself just to, you know, like what if I am that person? What if I'm very outgoing and I like to laugh with my friends and I like to have fun? I have to change myself just to make you feel comfortable, so
Well,
I feel uncomfortable.
Well, you're yelling in a place of business. That's
Like
makes the
some
shop owner.
behaviors are, you know,
Yeah.
are they necessary?
Yeah, like
No.
would you for instance, would you go into a church and yell into there?
No, I'm not
'Cause-
talking about like the teenager part. I'm talking about like the guy that you know, that you gave an
Okay,
example
so-
for.
Would you go into a store underdressed?
I mean, if I'm going to, for example, if I'm going to a convenience store, that's what I'm picturing in my head, like a person going to a convenience store wearing a sweater and low riding. What if that's just my style?
If it's your style, like that's okay, but are you okay? Would you go to a church like that?
Well,
Or-
you're not supposed to.
Out of respect, you wouldn't, right?
No.
So out of respect, don't you think that you should dress just
But then
pull up your
that's-
pants a little bit?
I feel
For
like
the
that's
store owner?
different, though. Like, you
So-
know, like,
Store owners deserve less respect.
I'm not saying they deserve less respect, but if I'm going to a store, I'm going to a store to go in and out. I'm not, you know, lingering around it. With church, that is disrespecting my religion because you're not supposed to be wearing, you know, joggers to church, which is why people dress
Jeez, I didn't even know that.
amazing. You didn't? So you're not supposed to be wearing joggers
Why?
or jeans or
Yeah.
something. It's disrespectful.
Out of-
That's
yeah,
a
out
whole
of
other topic,
respect,
man.
yeah.
But yeah, that's disrespecting. I would see that as disrespecting your religion because you're not supposed to do
But
that.
I've seen people go to like church in sweatpants.
You're not
Yeah,
supposed
you're
to.
not supposed to.
It's
I've seen them.
disrespectful.
Some
I've seen tons of people do that.
Well, then they're not educated about the religion enough.
Yeah, but I just feel like when I just feel like if we took one step
Mhm.
forward, just beyond ourselves, like you could say, I'm this person, so I'm gonna walk into a store yelling, and I'm gonna walk into a store screaming, or I'm this person and I'm gonna walk into the store underdressed however I want. You know, you have to look at how the store owner feels. You have to look at how the other customers feel. And if you're just walking into a store and you're just a classy person and people are judging you just because you're black or just because you're whatever, I feel like that's wrong. But you have to at least try to, you know, present yourself, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to be in a situation where, like, say I'm walking into the store and you're gonna judge me solely based on my color, there's nothing I can do about that. But as
Yeah.
long as I'm not giving you any further reason to judge me, I think that's where I kind of take more pride in myself. All right, if I'm going in there and I'm like, yeah, here's what I want, da 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 da, I give you your money, I leave. You can judge me all you want. I can
I
care
feel like
less.
that's the only reason that matters. So, like, if I'm giving you money and I'm, you know, helping your store, that's all that mattered. It shouldn't matter what race I am.
Okay, so put yourself in the shoes of, say, like the store owner. So you have a store.
Okay.
And you have a bunch of customers in there, and then a group of people come in there and they're yelling and they're screaming, and like all the other people are getting uncomfortable because they're like, why are they doing this? Like, how are you looking at that
If
situation?
that was the case, I would politely ask them to, you know, like, keep it down just for the sake of, you know,
But it's something that you'd be bothered by.
I personally,
Might interfere with your business a little bit.
well, then if it's interfering with that, then yeah. But if, like, you know, you're just buying your stuff and you're leaving and you're not
You're
like
by yourself,
staying.
yeah, that's different.
Yeah, like if you're not staying and, like, you know, yelling in one corner, I obviously care. But, like, as long as you're just getting your stuff and you're leaving with your loud friends, then that has nothing to do with me.
I also like to look at the fact that we're kind of hard on ourselves as like a black culture, because I don't know about you guys, I was low riding back in high school and then I stopped. And then as soon as you stop, it's like, oh, you're not a gangster, you're not cool, you're not this, not that. But just because I'm different, I'm acting differently. Like I have a lot of hood man still, and it's like I don't speak like them. I don't walk in. I'm not throwing the N word around. You know what I mean? And they look at you funny because they're like, oh, well, what? You're not black anymore? And I'm like, no, I just don't choose to act like that. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, that's fine. I have a lot of friends that are not like me, but that doesn't mean that you're not your race anymore. It just means that you're not into the same things you were as you're growing up.
Yeah.
And that's okay because you change as you grow up. That's the point of growing up.
Yeah, but when you do that now, they're like, oh, you switched up and you're not about this anymore and you're not about that. And you're like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's almost like we as a collective kind of have to make that shift together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that like anything that anyone's doing is wrong. There's a difference between like ghetto stuff, poor stuff, and hood stuff. Like it's three different things. Like at the end of the day, but why are we demonizing people who want to get out of that? Like if you talk to a lot of people in the hood, what's like one thing that they want to do? Be successful and get out the hood, right? They want better. They want better for themselves. They want better for their family. They want better for their mom. You know what I mean? But then it's like when you start to do that, when they see someone else doing that, you have to change yourself in order for that to happen.
It's like they're trying to be better than you. And
you know what I mean? And then now you're different. Now something's wrong with you because you're getting away from all the things that aren't working for you. People don't realize, like, a lot of the times when you see rappers on TV and they're wearing, like, whatever they're wearing, when they're in a business meeting, they're not wearing that. When they're in a business meeting, Jay-Z's in a suit, right? So why is no one demonizing Jay-Z for being in a suit? Why did he not switch up? Because he's successful, right? But we're not doing that with everybody else.
I mean, nothing is wrong with, like, if you grew up wearing, I don't know, like, low riding or whatever, you don't have to switch up. There's just a time and a place.
Yeah, you grow.
Yeah.
You evolve to a degree.
Yeah, no, if I was doing something that's important, especially if it was a business meeting, there is no way I'm walking with some shorts, some sandals, and a damn freaking sweatshirt. Like, obviously I'm going to look somewhat professional. But yeah, Jamal, you have anything to add to that?
So this is going to be Jamal's world soon enough, so.
Well, when you show up to an interview and you said, like you said, you didn't want to wear the shorts, the sandals, you wanted to look dressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because you want to provide respect to the employer. You want to provide respect to the other person by dressing the part.
Because I want to make a good first impression, yes.
And because you want to make a good first impression, and that first impression comes from dressing respectively, right? So I just feel like if we were to, take the first steps to dress respectively, to act respectively, to dress respectively, to just be in a respective manner, it would go a long way. Not saying that it would end all stereotypes, because there just are certain people out in the world that will just have the same beliefs until the end of their life. But it's a good starter for most people.
All right, so let me give you guys a quick kind of like situational thing, because I feel like these really drag a lot of ideas out.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys think of a time where you felt like you were racially profiled or someone was kind of like being racist towards you in some way?
I mean, it happens a lot at school, for sure. I remember one time I was actually with you, Jamal, and we were taking the bus. I think we were going home, like from school, and there was a lady, and you were standing beside me, and when she saw us, because we were waiting for the bus, when she saw us, she moved her bag and put it like to like the front of her chest, because she had it on the side, and then she moved it to the front, and I was kind of just like looking at her funny, because what am I really gonna do? You see me, like, I was in grade, like, what, 7, 8, somewhere there. What am I gonna do?
I don't want your purse.
Yeah.
All right, so how did that make you feel?
I mean, I see it a lot on TV. I see it a lot in videos. I see it a lot just in person. And I kind of, like, brush it off, because it was kind of just like, if she feels unsafe, then by all means, do what you gotta do to feel safe, boo. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna do anything. Like, I'm a child. So what am I gonna do? You know? But yeah.
All right. What about you, Jay?
I haven't faced many like racial stereotypes in real life. Maybe a few times where like at school would call each other, would say a few like inappropriate jokes between us. But then I didn't take offense to that. The only times when I've truly like felt some type of racial stereotype is maybe like when I was playing like a video game or something like that. And you know how
That's not a
people
video
get on.
game.
You know how people get on on the
features
mic.
come out, man.
Yep. You know how people get on the mic. So that's that. But really, I haven't faced much.
All right, so in regards to both of your situations, do you guys feel like there's anything you could have done differently for that person not to have that same reaction?
I mean, no. If you don't know somebody and you already, feel unsafe around them without knowing them or knowing their name or how they act, then obviously there's nothing I could do because that's how you grew up. And since the lady was pretty old, it's not like I could say like, "Hey, yo, like I'm not gonna do anything." Not all about, like.
So does that make you feel better or worse? Like, do you feel better that like, yo, honestly, like?
No, it makes me feel worse because if she has children, she's probably raising her children the same exact way, and like the cycle just keeps going on and on. So.
All right, what about you, Jay?
I mean, when I'm playing video games and someone says the N-word or says something extremely offensive, there's not much I could do to change that because they're just upset. So that's just how they are. But I wouldn't treat that as that is how they always are. They're just upset on the video game and they just want to say some disrespectful stuff. Because that's just how people are.
It's always the Caucasian kiddies, man.
Yeah.
It's always that. I don't know what it is with these kids. All right, stepping away from that, like I do want to get your thoughts on BLM, and in case anybody doesn't know what that is, it's the Black Lives Matter movement and their cause. Now you guys are aware of what that is, I'm 100% sure, but like,
Of course.
you want to give a quick description in case people don't?
Jamal?
You did
a project on this.
You did a project.
The Black Lives Matter movement was started by 3 amazing, beautiful women. I forgot what their names were. But they started the cause just to, bring awareness to all the things that are happening in the world, with like, police brutality, all of that stuff. So, yeah.
So it doesn't sound very different than like a lot of things that we've had before, like civil rights movement and
Black Panther Party
and all of that stuff. It's kind of drawn from there.
Yes.
What is your opinion on it?
The movement has been around for so long. There was kind of just like different, it was for different meanings. And now today it's for police brutality and just bringing awareness to that because it was happening a lot. I see it as it has always been a problem. It will forever be a problem, and the only thing we could do is just bring awareness to it. And yeah, it didn't now just start in 2020. It's been around. It's just now with TikTok and different social media platforms, you see it more often. You guys have anything to add to that?
Jay?
Well, when it comes to BLM, I'm torn in the middle because I support it, but I kind of criticize it at the same time, just because I do believe that something has to be done against like the police brutality that's going on in the world. I've seen some really, really bad videos online of like police brutality against people of color. I wish something could be done, but at the same time, I don't like the rioting that's going on. I think they caused nearly $2 billion worth of damage just in 2020 alone. And it's like Corona season, when you take one of the worst years to do business, and you destroy someone's business that's deemed essential. It's just like, I feel like we're causing more harm to our own communities than we are good.
No, you had something to say?
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, but then again, like, we have to separate the protesters and the rioters, because we're not all, like, rioters aren't all black people. They're not all white people. They're not all Indian. Like, like, there are a bunch of people.
The rioters,
that are doing it.
Rioters as themselves aren't a race, but until like BLM strictly denounces these people, I don't know, because like there will be like bail funds that are made online in the name of BLM, and then these people who like destroy things will be out in like several hours later on bail. So I don't know. I'm torn, but I do think that there is a lot of potential for good to be done with BLM. What are your thoughts, Trevi?
Uh, I'm like you when it comes to BLM at times because I feel like the message of what it was originally has drastically gone in a whole different direction. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if we derive where kind of like the idea for BLM comes from, we're going back in history here, right? And if we look at things like the civil rights movement, where Martin Luther King was very big on, hey, we're going to march. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to destroy anything. We're
Keep
not
it
going to wreck
peaceful.
anything. Keep it as peaceful as possible.
Yeah.
And don't give police a reason to come out there and start billy clubbing people.
Yeah.
Because if I'm an officer, in all due respects, right? And you guys are protesting to the street, I can't do anything. But as soon as a guy throws a rock through a window or throws a rock at my car, I have to step in and do my job. So we're almost giving them the authority to do so. Where when Martin Luther King was marching, he's like, yeah, if you don't do anything, they can't harm you. So if you're just marching and you're just being peaceful and they arrest you, they look bad. You know what I mean? They look like the aggressive ones. It's the same kind of mindset that Gandhi had. Gandhi was a little bit more extreme on the peace, but it is what it is. And then we kind of did a shift to the Black Panther Party, which, again, a lot of people misconstrue in a very negative way. This was a party that was very big on neighborhood development and protection. They would raise money for schools, churches, poor families that couldn't, like, buy the essentials for their kids. They would actually put relief funds together and go to the neighbor and be like, we know you can't pay your rent, here you go. That's what they did. But the thing that people remember is that they carried around guns. That's the only thing people seem to remember about the Black Panther Party. And they never shot anybody first. All that would really happen if it came to a situation where a cop was dealing with an African American person. When the cop raised their gun, they raised their gun too. Now, what does that do? That puts that cop in that mindset like, if I shoot this person, they're going to shoot me back, especially if they see that it's unwarranted. So they stopped really doing a lot of that stuff. Where BLM kind of has me, I like that it still kind of came from that same origin story, but it's like what Jay say. You know what I mean? You're starting to taint it now. You're starting to almost oversaturate it. You're starting to kind of do things that don't make any sense, because if your idea is let's go against police brutality and let's bring awareness to the things that are happening, why are we bringing awareness to looters? Why are we bailing these guys out of jail for doing things that they're not supposed to do? It's like when someone gets put in jail because they had like weapons possession and they had like 30 something guns in their house, and then we're like, oh, free my dude so and so. Like, why are we freeing him for? Why are we freeing the guy if the guy's a murderer? Why are we freeing the guy if he's a rapist? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And that's kind of what they're starting to do. And I don't think it's the majority, and I don't think it's the core group of BLM, but I think it's these little offshoot, and they kind of carry that banner. And if you got the flag and somebody around you is throwing a rock, people are just going to assume it's you too. So we kind of have to like I think the movement at some point kind of has to disassociate themselves from those like people and stop glorifying them and start celebrating them. Like, it doesn't make any sense, because you're putting a negative stain now on what is a very positive and progressive thing. I just seem like I'm ranting now, but like I really I got a lot of passion for this one. But in that case too, so we have Black Lives Matter, and then we had All Lives Matter, and then we had Blue Lives Matter, and now we have Asian Lives Matter. Now, I know we're gonna have our conniptions when it comes to All Lives and Blue Lives, but where does the ALM movement come into play now? Like, what do you guys think of that one?
I haven't done enough research into them, and I don't know a lot about them, but I do agree that there is a lot of like, there was a rise in Asian hate crimes, and I fully believe that has to stop, and it's just wrong to have hate crimes against any race or religion. I just feel like that has to stop, but I have to read more into the actual cause, the actual group themselves.
Well, I do agree with you. All like everyone does have a right in this world, and that they do have a hate crime that is happening, which is very, very sad. And I don't know, I feel like nowadays, since I don't want to say Asian lives don't matter, because they do, we're all human, all of our lives do matter. I just feel like it's a very small group of them that are talking out on it. And what I've seen on TikTok and like what my friends send me, they are kind of getting mad at black people because they are not, standing up for them. I also feel like I'm not speaking like just on, them, but I feel like a lot of people are just bringing light to things that don't really need to be shed, like light needs to be shed onto it. Like with the whole entire hair sticks thing, there's a difference between chopsticks and hair sticks. And chopsticks are what you eat with. And if, people are putting chopsticks in people's hair, then I see how that is, cultural appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when people are selling these hair sticks or these chopsticks, whatever you want to call them, in a store that people, well, colored people usually go to get stuff for their hair, and you're selling it at those places, what do you really expect?
Mm-hmm. But at this point, the whole hair sticks thing is irrelevant. Like, it's so useless because there's so much more going on. With
That's
Asian
what I'm
hair.
trying to say.
No, what I mean is like when it comes to Asian hate, it's gone beyond whatever hair sticks or chopsticks there is, and it's now on to, okay, there's this guy and he beats up an old lady outside of a grocery store, or a guy runs up to an old Asian man and pushes him on the street, causing him to die, or one old lady getting beat up by 3 black guys and gets her purse stolen. Like, that's true hate crimes.
That is,
like,
and that's what
up.
you should be spreading awareness to. I don't think you should make this a problem when there's so much other things that you should be talking about.
Yeah.
Especially like when it's on TikTok, because now you're starting this whole entire conversation, and what are you doing? Like, what are you gaining from that? You're just putting more races against each other, and you're not spreading the awareness that you should be spreading.
But the hate crimes are.
Yeah, that's what you should be talking about. That definitely is a problem. But what someone's putting in their hair,
You know what I mean?
it's hair.
Like, it that shows how like trivial those things are, because like it's such a minor thing, but then on the same spectrum, it's like, how are we? And this is just to touch on the hair sticks thing. How are we pushing cultural appropriation on hair sticks, but half of the NBA was wearing like the ninja headbands, and that was okay?
Yeah.
Because like Jimmy Butler rocked it for like good 2 seasons straight until they got banned it, right?
The NBA will ban anything.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, it was cool then, but it's not cool now. And then what I also kind of take in too, and I can only speak from my experience personally, a lot of people that I grew up actually with a lot of like Asian kids.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, my school had a very large Asian population. They were dressing like the rappers. They were listening to rap music. They were listening to reggae. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I didn't see them as Asian. I just saw them as like people. Like, it wasn't.
I don't think I see anyone as
you know
like
I mean?
a certain race.
Like,
I just
I
look
didn't
at
even
you.
consider that, right? And if we're going by like black stereotype, they fit into that a lot more than I did sometimes.
Yeah.
So why is that a thing? And it's like, to touch on what Jay was saying, like, and this is what happened to BLM. Like, ALM is about something. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason for it. There's an outcry because people are getting hurt. People are losing their lives, and that's what it's for, to raise awareness to that. And that's what BLM was about. And now they're just taking it as like a fad. Like, oh, I'm upset because this person did something, and it's cultural appropriation. Like, Asian Lives Matter. Like, you can't just hashtag it to anything. Like, it's got to be about something. And that's what I'm
trying to say.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Your awareness has to be, like, it can't just be about someone putting something in their hair. Because if I was to start an awareness about people wearing braids, like, everyone's still going to do it anyways, But, like, if you're talking about something that's actually a serious problem in the world, that makes sense. It's just when one person is talking about it, or 1-2 people are talking about it, then do other people see it as that serious, or is it just you? You know what I mean?
So when you saw the TikTok with the hair sticks, like, what was your opinion on that? Like, where did
I thought it was, I'm not gonna lie, I pretty thought it was stupid, because it's their culture, people that are selling it. Because my hair store that I go to is run by Asian people, and they have black people working there, and they sell hair sticks. So it's like, you're in a black community and you're gonna sell hair sticks, but then you're gonna come back and make it a problem later on. If it's so important to you, why don't you just have it strictly to, your culture store?
Mhm.
You get what I mean?
Do you think having all these little offshoots like BLM, ALM, who knows, like down the line it might be like ILM because of what's going on in India, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, do you think that that's kind of leading to more of a problem because now it's becoming more of a segregated thing? Whereas like when we had BLM, everybody who was of culture supported it 110%.
Yeah.
There were brown people marching, there were Asian people marching, you know what I mean? Like there were white people marching with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now everybody's got like their own cause. So like, is that not making it?
It's
Kinda
kind of
like a
taking the
bigger problem?
significantness away from it. I feel like spreading awareness is about something that a lot of people agree on,
Mhm.
and when it's just like one or two people, you're kind of like, I don't know, like I don't want to say it's not important. It's just to other people, is it a problem now?
Yeah. And to me, it kind of leads. It kind of forces segregation
Yeah.
in a way, right? Because like before, we were like, no, everybody's kind of going through this, but like the awareness came for the black culture just because so
You
many
saw it
things were
more.
happening with that culture.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right? And now it's just kind of like, oh no, like we're going through this too, and we're going through that too, and then the whole push for our indigenous brothers and sisters, which personally should have been a thing from time, but
Mhm.
just was never touched upon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting time, and I think there's a lot of people who want to be about something, and I'm all for that. Like if you want to be about a cause, by all means, that's great. But be careful when you do that because if you're devaluing a movement, then you're not doing it any good.
Yeah.
You're not doing your culture any good. You're not doing your people any good.
I don't know. A part of me feels like everyone wants to have something to argue about, especially like just like the way how it's seen and viewed on social media, as I always refer to.
Mhm.
I feel like everyone just wants to complain about something or to start something when it doesn't necessarily need to be started.
But yeah, that's like a. It's almost like a. I don't want to say to you guys, but it's kind of like the culture before you guys. Where you guys are feeling a lot of the pushback and brunt from it. So like, why do you think that is? Like, why is that a big thing now?
Jamal, do you have anything to say about that?
About what?
What Trevi just said.
Okay, so when you look at it, there are so many different groups today, right?
Mhm.
And every single group takes offense to something.
Yeah.
And when you have so many people a part of so many different groups, you have so many different people who are just offended based on whatever you say. No matter if you criticize them, no matter if you say anything, even if you disagree with them, people will be offended. And I think people have just went from civil discussions to arguments.
Do you think that has
And
anything to do with the cancel culture?
Of course. Of course. People are
That's the
silent.
craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It is. It's actually insane. Like silencing someone's voice just because you disagree with their opinion.
Yeah, but some people are getting canceled for stupid things. Like they wanted to cancel Eminem because of his music that he made like 12 years ago. Like that doesn't even make any sense anymore.
Yeah.
And those are the same people that are bopping to that same music
12
you know
12
what I mean?
years ago.
It's like your dad was listening to Eminem. Like, why are you mad? Like I don't understand. You don't like it. You don't have to listen to him,
Yeah.
right? But why are we canceling him for something like that?
It was a completely different time and place 12 years ago
Yeah.
than it is now. I think people have to take that into consideration. And like if you were to say something offensive now, then we could look at it and like criticize it. Criticize it all you want. But if you were to just boycott someone because of things they said years ago, I think that's just the most ridiculous thing.
And for me, even like, it kind of, I think it makes a dangerous place because at the end of the day, I'm gonna have my opinion about something. You're gonna have a different opinion. She's
that's
gonna have a
okay.
different opinion than us. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we're doing now is we're attacking people for having an opinion. Now, no, I don't feel any type of way if some like 75-year-old man comes up to me and says something racist. That's his time. He probably had a black servant. Like it is what it is. His family probably owned slaves. That's just how they operated back in the day. I'm not gonna now want to cancel this guy because that's the environment he grew
It's
up in.
not
That's
gonna
his
do
opinion.
anything.
It is what it
Though.
is.
Yeah.
Right? But now it's like you're making it so that people can't have an opinion. And it's not that, no, let me rephrase that. It's not that they can't have an opinion.
They
They
have to
can't
share
have
yours.
it if it's not yours.
Yeah.
It has to align with yours. So are you not now becoming that tyrant yourself? Are you not now becoming that bigot in a way?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're looking at racism, right? And I don't like to touch on racism too much, but I deal with it, so it is what it is. The problem is that the person who's racist wants me to share his opinion of me on my race. He wants to share his opinion of, oh, you're black, so you're lazy. Oh, you're black, so you're a criminal. He wants me to believe that myself. So all these people who are all about this like cancel culture. Okay, great. I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, and I don't agree with your opinion. But because I don't agree with your opinion, now I must suffer consequences because I don't align with what you're aligned with. You know, and I don't want to harp on Eminem, but like I listened to Eminem when I was growing up. Like his music was actually like really influential, and yes, he did have some things in there that were a little, you know, inappropriate, but it's not something he ever hid, and it's not something that anyone cared about. That no one was bothered by it. That we understood it for what it was, and if we didn't like it, we didn't listen to him. It just was what it was. But now I feel like we're creating this place, and it's gonna suck for you guys, especially moving forward. That it's like if you don't agree with certain people and their mindsets, now you're a bad person. Like where do you guys like what's your mindset when you're looking at something like this and how you deal with something like that?
Well, first of all, when it comes to another person's judgment is completely useless to however you are. Because a person could say whatever they want, and I truly do believe in free speech, by the way, but speech is not harmless. It's not harmful. You can't harm somebody with words
I
directly.
mean, kind of.
It's like when it comes harm is something that's physically done, meaning that if I don't physically touch you or hurt you in any
No,
way,
but like mentally. Like if I was to walk up to you and say, you know what, Jamal, you're an N word and you're this and you're
Your hair
that,
sucks.
wouldn't you feel some type of way?
I would feel sad, but I don't think it would mentally hurt me in the long run. Like when you look at a mental illness problem, that suffered from something completely farther down the line than speech.
Okay,
Than
so
just
then what if
regular
it
words
was,
from one person.
because like I know like people like deal with anxiety and whatever like that. So what if like someone constantly comes to you and they say the same thing over and over again? Wouldn't that cause some type of harm to how you see yourself and how you know, present yourself?
Um, it might bring you down, and depending on the type of person, it might like bring down their self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one thing that could cause way more harm than silencing somebody's speech. No, there's one thing that's more harmful than somebody's speech, and that's their violence. Because if you silence somebody's speech and they're not left with speech, the only option they have left is violence. You've literally given them one option, and that's violence. I'd rather someone talk crap to me all day rather than them come up to me and physically hurt me. Because I know that physically hurting me is way worse than saying anything you want on the planet. So it's like you take somebody out of the table and then they come back to burn down the table. I would rather the first option and you just say whatever you want. What do you have to say about that?
I don't know. I just feel like now with this generation, it's way too sensitive and people take things way too seriously. And I don't know. It's just I remember like even scrolling through TikTok. I don't remember what she asked, but this lady, she was like, "Is it okay for me to do this?" And I was just like, in my head, I don't comment stuff, so I was just like in my head, girl, why are you asking that question? Like if you do it and someone hates it, then that's fine. Someone's obviously gonna hate something about you either way, so just do what you want to do.
I feel like it's misguided. And I use that word a lot, especially in talking about this, but I feel like a lot of this stuff is misguided. I feel like I agree to a degree with Jay that like I would rather somebody talk pure shit
Yeah.
instead of fighting. You know what I mean? That's fine. I don't mind that. I disagree with the fact that like things that people say to you don't hurt you. Yeah, it doesn't hurt you physically, but like look at a lot of people now. Like people are going through mental trauma right now, and it's causing a bunch of problems. And mentally, if you're going through it, like physically, you're gonna start to feel it eventually. What I don't like, and I think it was Donald Glover, Childish Gambino,
Yeah.
who had said it in an interview, and he's like, the internet kind of gave people this ability to matter, and you know, it's like your way of saying like, look at me, like I matter, I'm important, which is great, but you have to be careful with how you're going to use something like that. You have to be
I totally
careful with the
agree.
message that you're putting out there, because now it's just coming across as hate. It really is. Like I'm sorry in any way, shape, or form for anybody who gets offended by it. It just seems like you're just hating on everything. And if you hate on everything, then nothing really is the problem. Like you are the actual issue. Like you know there's people. There's a bunch of people you're gonna come across in your life, and they just dislike everything and everybody. That has nothing to do with anyone. It has nothing to do with you did, what you did, I did, this person did, that person did. They're mad because the grass is green and they wanted it to be blue. They're mad because the sky is blue and they wanted it to be gray.
And
Like, they're just angry. They're haters.
now I'm gonna ask Jamal, is that, would you cancel someone for that?
No, because even the worst type of people, like I know that there are people who you'll like, for instance, you'll get on a game and you'll just play for a fun time and they'll just hate you. And I disagree completely with what these people say. I think that these people are completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think that what every single person has on this earth is the God-given right to freely say what you want. Like you could literally say anything you want. And I don't think that there should be another person to impose consequences on your free right to say something. I don't I now saying that, I do think that there are certain things that you could say that will have implications. You could say something very dumb and there will be implications for that. But I don't think that we should start censoring people for their point of views or for what they believe, no matter what they believe.
So, is there any criteria that would lead for a cancellation, as we should call it now?
If they do a crime, you could cancel them. If they're simply voicing an opinion, like if somebody voices a hateful opinion, I'm not listening to them at all. I'm just not listening to them. I don't care what they say. I'm staying away from their platform. But will I go out of my way to end their platform? Will I go out of my way to end their platform? No, because I feel like whatever they should be able to say whatever comes from their mouth, and I shouldn't have any authority over that.
So you're saying like the cancel culture, referring back to that, it's kind of an opinion more than, you know.
Yeah, because you're taking one person's opinion and you're giving that person leverage over another person's opinion.
Yeah.
So then one person
Is seen
has
as
the
right.
has the right to end another person's opinion based on one person's opinion. It's stupid. I don't know. I completely disagree with the whole cancel culture.
I feel like it stemmed from kind of like the same place that like a lot of these movements stem from, right? It's a collective kind of thought process that like we don't like this, which is fine. That there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you can collectively come together and say this bothers me, that's great. I think now that they have so much power behind it that it's almost like abuse of power in a way.
Yeah.
They're taking it way too far sometimes, and I'm like, certain things, okay, sure, you know, like you know, Chauvin, the officer with George. If you want to cancel him, go for it. Like it is what it is, right?
Because he committed a
He
crime.
committed a physical crime, like he ended a person's life. But you're getting mad at people for
Like the
saying
Eminem.
something racist or saying something sexist or saying something inappropriate 12 years ago when you were like in diapers. Like that doesn't make any sense. It's not something that affected you. So why are you mad? You know what I mean?
The only thing that I kind of like, I'm definitely agreeing with you guys on that, but like one thing that I feel like another reason why people are so quick to cancel somebody else for doing something, for saying something that's wrong, is yes, because this generation wants everyone to be seen as equal, and we all want to, have rainbows and sunshine and flowers, which is not the case because the world is imperfect and it's going to stay imperfect. That's just how it is. But I feel like another reason is because of children that are on these platforms. And I'm not saying, oh, you should, stop what you want to do because there's children watching, because then again, it refers back to the parents. Like, the parents should be watching what their kids are doing and what their kids are looking at.
Facts.
So, I don't know. I feel like that's another reason why cancel culture is so quick to say, you know what, Jamal, you're canceled. Or, you know what, Trey, you're canceled,
Yeah, it kind of seems like a power move for me. It's like you're flexing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I don't like you. You're canceled. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like the cancel culture is coming from, and this is what I find very interesting. Like, this actually just came to me. It's coming from a group, a demographic, a collective of people who were bullied, right? A group of people who find things offensive. You felt like they were wronged by somebody else, right? So they collectively is like, no, I'm not standing for this. This person agrees, that person. So it's almost like that one person who gets bullied, and like now all the other people who've gotten bullied now are with him. Now you have this army to take on the bully. But are you not now becoming the bully yourself? Because now people are having their lives affected, their careers affected, based on something that happened so long ago. They can't even go back and change it. You know what I mean? So why they're suffering for something that really they can do nothing about at this point, right? If they're doing it now, sure. If like at the same time too, like if we're gonna stick on the topic of Eminem, you don't have to buy his album, you don't have to listen to his music. Do you think he's the only person who's doing things that are a little messed up? Like, look at Lil Nas X. Man put out a Demon video. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to watch it. Yep. If you're choosing to, if you're gonna watch it and get offended, that's on you. You don't have to look at the thing.
As a Christian, I'm offended by Lil Nas's video, but I don't think that just because I'm offended, he shouldn't have the right to put out whatever video. He could put out. Though. He could. The song is good, but the music video is garbage. Like he could put out whatever garbage he wants. I won't demand that YouTube ends his video. But there are people who will be offended by something and then just demand that something gets taken down. I feel like you could either A, have a discussion, or B, just not listen. Either one.
That's to me, that's his expression of his speech. Yeah. That's what he wants to put out there. Maybe he just did it for shock value. Like, personally, I think he did it for shock value. And he's not the only person who's ever put out a video with like a demonic, devilish kind of like undertone. Right? If you listen to like the song and the video actually kind of match. But at the end of the day, like, you don't, as you were saying, you don't have to put yourself in that mind state. You don't have to put yourself in that situation. It's like, I like to give the example of a park. If you're walking through a park at night, do you have to? No. If you choose to, and something happens to you, yeah, it's a bad thing, but at the same time, you put yourself in a bad situation. Because you're going there, you can't see, you don't know who's in there, you don't know, you know people usually hang out there, but you don't know who. And now you're in a situation where what? You're putting yourself in harm's way. It's like jaywalking. Yeah. You're going to run across the street. Yeah, you could make it, but you could get hit by a car. Do I feel bad for you if you get hit by the car?
Well...
And this collective is like, yeah, you should be bad for them because the driver should have blocked. But why are you running across the street? Like, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, they're both liable at in that situation.
They're both at fault, right?
Yeah.
But now you guys want, it's like, it's almost like they found this power and now they're kind of just like, it's almost like they're doing it for fun now. It's almost like, we're going to exercise how much of this we have.
I mean, it only works when you actually give them power. Like, some people will be canceled and bullied for 2 weeks, and then this whole cancel culture mob will move on to their next target. And then that'll happen for 2 weeks. Call them a mob. And then they'll move on to their next target. I don't know what else I could call this whole Twitter mob. Because that's really what they are at this point. They're just like just a group of people who will bully and demand that like one person gets censored. And then when that happens, they just move on to the next person.
But then it's like, if you cancel one person for doing something, then shouldn't everyone that does that same exact thing be canceled? So, for example, if I canceled Cardi B for twerking on the internet, shouldn't I cancel every single other person that is a celebrity or not
Megan Thee
for
Stallion,
twerking on the internet?
Iggy Azalea, Tiana Taylor, SZA,
Literally everyone.
Beyonce.
Like,
You'd have to cancel Beyonce.
Yeah, that's impossible.
How you gonna cancel Beyonce?
so one word to put them is being a hypocrite at this point.
Amen. Facts.
Okay.
I like that.
Again, negativity overrules positivity. So.
But only if you give the negativity, like, if you give it some type of date, then yeah. Like, I feel like the people, what they want is a reaction. Like, they want celebrities to apologize and be sad.
That's what internet trolls do.
And then they want you to lose your job, to resign, to do all of this. You know, say I'm not making videos anymore. That's what they want.
But like, secondly, too, like, has anyone actually been affected by this? Like, who's actually been affected by a bunch of people going online saying, "Oh, cancel so and so"? I find like that's not going to make a difference.
It could, because like it's kind of just like if someone constantly says something about you, you're obviously gonna believe it's true at some point.
Yeah, but that's if you care, no? Like,
and that's
like
the thing.
Look at Eminem, like, he's not gonna care.
Yeah, maybe he might not care, but someone else might. You know, maybe someone doesn't really know how to take all this negativity right now, or maybe they're going through something. They're just like, you know what, forget this. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna, stop doing this, and
So I know you guys don't have like a positive like kind of look on cancel culture, the way some people do, but like I do want to say this just to put this into like retrospect. Let's say we say cancel Cardi B.
She has been.
Right, and Cardi B really takes this, she internalizes it. It really messes with her mind, and she, on the off chance, commits suicide and dies. Now what?
That actually happened to a TikToker a few months ago.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
She had like 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, they are.
She committed suicide.
That's crazy.
It is.
And no one knew.
Alright, so again, are you now not the bully?
You are a bully. That's what they're doing.
And even if you don't kill them, like, I feel like cancel culture really does give you the right to kill. Like, you're saying, okay, I want to deplatform you. I don't want to give you the right to provide for your family. I want you to resign. I want you to be fired.
You're him, man.
Take it down. I want you to not be able to provide for yourself or provide for your family. That right there is just true evil. Just destroying someone's entire career. That's just pure evil.
I mean, yeah, that is, but then you could bounce back from situations. Even though, the person was in the wrong, if you genuinely care about your family, you would do something else that could provide for your family. It might not be in the same way, but at least you're still doing what you're doing, because there's normal people that are out here providing for their family perfectly fine.
But then it's the question of, if someone throws a rock through your car, destroys half of your car, you could always build back your car. But it will damage you.
It will.
In the meantime, and that damage, like, I just feel like that's right there is just pure evil.
Yeah.
No matter if you could bounce back or not.
I look at the psychological aspect of it too, because it's pretty much people coming out and saying like, we don't like you because you did this, and for the longest while everyone was okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, no one had a problem with it. Now all of a sudden it's an issue. Now all of a sudden we're angry, and our goal is to like ruin your career, ruin your life, cause you as much drama and torment as we possibly can. Like, that's legitimate psychological torture. That's really what they're doing to people, and they think it's okay because they're offended.
I mean, so then I'm gonna ask you guys, how do you guys feel about Lizzo?
What about Lizzo?
You guys don't know what happened?
I know who Lizzo is, but what's
I don't study that.
Oh, she gets a lot of hate for, like, uplifting people that are, plus size and all that hoopla. Obviously, like, okay, there's a lot of stuff that happens with her. So how do you guys feel about that? Is she being
criticized or is she being canceled?
She's both, actually.
Both?
Yeah.
What's she being canceled for?
Because, like, stuff that she does. I can't remember whose live that she was on, but she was on some rapper's live, and she was twerking, and everyone was like, oh my god, ew, why is she doing that, blah 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 blah.
My thing with Lizzo is I love Lizzo and I dislike Lizzo at the same time. I love her message, I love her positivity, I love her confidence.
Yeah.
I think she's a little too much though.
I think she's
almost
like,
doing too much for the attention now, and it takes away from what your message was.
It's kind of just like, though, like, she's a bigger woman, And if she was working on a live, people would be like, ill, ill, like, ill,
Then don't
no,
watch
she's
it.
canceled. But then if someone else that wasn't, you know, plus size was doing it, it's like, hey, like, get it, like, like,
But-
you get what I mean?
I agree partially, and I also disagree because it's like you came from that rapper's live stream, not to see Lizzo twerking, and while you don't want to watch it, it was put in front of your face without you even doing anything, right? So that's why I feel it's wrong. But then I also feel like you shouldn't be in the place. You shouldn't be in the position where you're watching Lizzo twerk in the first place.
So would you say that she's
but you-
canceled?
I wouldn't say that
You know
she's
gonna
canceled.
do something like Lizzo
But she should- would
bust
she?
a split on a table and the table broke. Like, you know she's gonna do wild stuff like that. That's why you're watching it, because you're waiting for Lizzo to do something wild. Like, that's why people are. Yeah, her music's okay, yes, but you're watching the stream. You know she's going to be on there. You know the type of character she is. You know it's coming. That's why you're watching it. That's why the rapper brought her on there in the first place, because he knows she's gonna do some wild stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, why are we angry? And if we're gonna cancel Lizzo for twerking because we don't like seeing a bigger girl twerk, then is the problem really like her twerking, or the fact that she's not like a favorable or desirable shape at this point?
Yeah.
So are we not just fat shaming her? Like,
I mean, that's a funny part too, because I was scrolling through Instagram stories. I think, yeah, it was today actually, and I don't know if you go. I forgot what her name is, but the girl that sings "No More Parties," her, I can't remember what her name was, but she's like really skinny, and she was twerking, and she was getting body shamed for it. Megan Thee Stallion, they body shame her because she's a muscular, like she's a bit more muscular, and they body shame. I don't know, Sweetie, because she has plastic surgery, and then they body shame Lizzo because she's a bigger person. So can you really please anyone at this point?
you know who? It's funny though. You know who's doing the body shaming? Women. Women are body shaming women. Guys, we don't care. We can care less. Like, if I see Lizzo twerking, and I'm not like, I don't like Lizzo like that, I'm just gonna leave. Like, I'm gonna turn away. I'm gonna turn off the TV. I'll go about my business. But like Megan Thee Stallion, yeah, she's a little bit more muscular, but I'm gonna watch her twerk. I'm gonna watch her shake that ass.
But
Is what it is.
what I mean, what I have to say is, everyone should be okay with being well, you shouldn't be okay with being criticized,
But you
even
should kind of
if you
expect
hate.
it, yeah.
But you should expect hate. What you shouldn't expect is the cancel culture, where they're demanding that you're deplatformed, where you're censored, all of that stuff. I'm completely against that. But if someone wants to, talk crap about Lizzo, I think that they should have the freedom of speech to say whatever they want. Even if they are a piece of garbage in what they say, I feel like they should be able to say what they want. Now, I don't think that Lizzo should be canceled for saying stuff like that. That's ridiculous. If you don't like Lizzo, then just don't watch. Like, that's what I do. I just don't keep up with Lizzo.
To be honest, I just block them.
That's all you can really do at this point, right? And it's I don't know. I find it sad. I find it sad because there's so many of us, and I speak for everybody. If you tell me that no, that's not you, you are a goddamn liar. Everybody has insecurities. Everybody has something about their body that they do not
It's just
like.
probably not as extreme as someone else.
Right?
Yeah.
And here's an individual who's like, yeah, I've probably had people tell me my whole life I'm a bigger girl. I've had people tell me my whole life that, I'm not attractive. I'll never make it. I'll never be anything. And she says, screw that. She's like, yo, I know people are haters, but I'm going to go out there and do my thing.
But it's so funny because, like, when someone is actually confident and they love themselves for the way they are, why do you feel the need to come and, change that?
Yeah, they tear them to shreds. And the reason why they do it is because they don't have that confidence in themselves.
So then get you some.
You know what, though?
It's too much work. It's too much effort. It's you fighting through fear. It's you fighting through your own, like mental blockages that cause that, right? Like, look at Jay in his fro right now. Jay's rocking the fro like he owns the thing. You know what I mean?
But with the whole Lizzo thing, I have to ask, though. If this was a guy who was in his boxers and he was like 400 pounds, shaking his butt, we would laugh at him. We'd die of laughter.
Yeah, but in this case, she's feeling herself. She loves herself.
But but if we were a guy, we would laugh at him, right? So see, they're treated different. They're treated completely differently.
Are you saying by the gender or?
Yeah, well, yeah, cause here's the thing. If it was a guy, and he was 400 pounds, and he said, "I love myself. I'm in my boxers. Look how
Got a
beautiful
hairy
I
belly
look."
Yeah,
button.
everyone would hype him up.
Yeah, no, come on.
I'd hype
You know how many women would disrespect that guy in the comments?
They
You
would.
know,
Okay, yeah,
but the
would
same
thing with
laugh
males.
So hard, man.
Yeah.
It's funny because like a lot of guys on social media, they're like, "Oh yeah, my girl has to be slim, thick. She needs to have a big butt. She needs to have a, you know, she has to be this and this and that." But it's like when a girl gets that, you're saying, "Oh well, you're fake because you have implants and you did surgery and blah blah." So like you can't
but
please
it
anybody.
goes both ways too. Like there's a lot of girls who like, oh, he has to be at least like
Exactly, and I'm not
5'11"
saying
and da,
that.
da, da.
It's just like
it's stupid. It's just
my moral of the story is you cannot please anybody. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
you can't please
do what-
everybody.
you can't please everyone.
You can please some people. You
Yes.
just can't please everybody.
yes, you cannot please everybody. Which at the end of the day, just do you. If you're happy with the way you are, then that's all that matters.
Right. What I find like interesting is like to like just things to think about like in regards to Lizzo. Like let's imagine if Lizzo was a male, and let's imagine if Lizzo was white. Like would she get the same hate?
Probably not. She'll get hate, but not
Then
at the way she's
would
getting.
it go from like cancel this person's inappropriate to like, oh, this person's funny, I'm just not gonna watch it because I'm not interested type of thing. You know what I mean? And is it because she's successful? Because let's be honest, if Lizzo was broke and she was just some person who showed
Well, no one
up,
would care.
no one would care. They would probably just laugh. So now is it a situation where we're looking to cancel her because she's successful by doing this? Right? Are we picking and choosing our battles here? Are we picking and choosing based on that person's success level, that person's gender, that person's race? Because let's look at it in a retrospect here, and I'm only using this example because you know Jay loves the Lakers. LeBron James, everyone says one of the most influential people in basketball. He's done so much for the sport. He's been an ambassador. He's putting kids through school. If they turn around to cancel LeBron James because he said something offensive in his rookie season, is that appropriate? And would it be the same if it was, say, Larry Bird versus LeBron James? Because I look at, I don't know if you didn't watch basketball in this era, but like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird was like the biggest comparison there. These were two of the best. People were constantly like kind of comparing their careers. Michael Jordan was a better overall basketball player, 110% than Bird. Bird was there. Bird could hang, but if we're looking overall, I'm giving it to MJ, the way he kind of like influenced the game. But they were viewed at very differently. They both trash talked, right? They're both competitive guys. They both would kind of like shove each other and everything like that and really push to be the best player they could. But in retrospect, everyone loved Larry Bird and they didn't view him as an arrogant person, but he was. He was doing the same thing as Jordan. So if it was like LeBron versus say like, I don't know, like maybe a white player, like Luka Doncic.
I don't know why,
versus
but
LeBron.
Kevin Love came to my head once you said that. I just had to say that.
Right now, like should they should receive the same hype, but they won't, right? Would that be based on LeBron's race, or would that be based on LeBron's success level?
Or both.
Girl said Kevin Love.
I don't know why.
It could go. I think it could go either way. It could go race, but then it could also go to the fact that LeBron is just a way more well-known. He's the most known basketball player right now. Everybody in the NBA knows him. Even if you don't watch the NBA, you know who LeBron James is. Chances are. So I feel like that could play a part in LeBron James getting more hate. The more popular you are, the more hate you definitely will get.
So we're not even attacking the people directly or the people's conduct. We're attacking them because they're successful.
Jealousy, in a way.
Kind of sounds like it, right? A little bit.
So the cancel culture is based on jealousy and opinions.
Well, you could still get canceled if you are if you do have a smaller reach. 100%. If you disagree with the cancel culture.
They still have a bigger reach than the cancel culture.
So it's basically just hopping on a bandwagon.
The cancel culture is more likely to see things when you are, the more known you are, there's a higher probability of the cancel culture attacking you. But you could still be attacked. like you don't have some type of shield just because you're a lower person. Like I knew a YouTuber with just only like 40,000 subscribers who people really went after. He's just a gaming YouTuber. Now he has like 500,000 or something like that. But he was really attacked when he was at a lower level.
So I just, like, as you guys are talking about this, I kind of just realized this. But do you think that the cancel culture is just bigger on social media? Because when you look at it, don't we also have that just in regular life?
Yeah.
People hating on you for doing something.
Yeah. But you could hate, you just can't, you shouldn't have the right to silence and deplatform another person just because you hate them.
But isn't that still shown, like, as regular people
Well, okay.
that do not have a platform?
How?
Because let's just say, like, we're at school and Jamal, you were talking about, I don't know, somebody saying this and somebody doing that, and now I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm going to tell everyone that you're a horrible person because you said this.
Well, if I said something 7 years ago and you just found out I said it 7 years ago, you would have to go to everybody and tell them how much of a horrible person I am, and then probably get me suspended from school for something I said 7 years ago. That would be to the extent that cancel culture goes to. But like people in real life, like I don't feel like many people will go to that extreme.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that we kind of have the same thing. It's just not to the same,
you just choose
point.
who you want to hang out with in real life, right? Just like how you should be able to choose whose platform you want to consume, which type of media you want to consume.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the same thing.
But then we demand that other people get these people off the platform. Like we'll demand that Twitter gets this person off. We'll demand that YouTube silences this person. We'll demand that Spotify takes them off. We'll say that we want this person off whatever TV show they work for. That's where cancel culture goes to. It's like it goes too far. Just because you disagree with their opinion.
That's actually it's facts. Anyways, we're gonna wrap this one up. This does seem like something we should touch on again.
We should.
And I have a few people in mind who we'd want to do this one with because this actually has affected a lot of people and really kind of taken on a mind of its own. But with that, we are going to be heading out. You guys stay tuned, and we'll see you again.
Bye.
Peace.